monuments.
What? Huh. You know, and it's interesting. Did you see that posting I made?
Yeah.
On,
more on that tonight, but that's been a big thing lately.
The Confederate monuments. Well, the posting I made. Hi, I'm Greg. Yeah, make myself comfortable here. The conservative half of the Greg and Donny news team, and so actually, you know, I'm gonna move this because it's driving me crazy. I guess that's where it is. Okay, well, that's all right. I think we're fine. So we got a YouTube, we got Facebook Live, we've got comments, we got all kinds of things. So my comment with the monument coming down was that, you know, during the whole civil rights movement, you never saw. I mean, the monuments, nobody touched them. You know, and you'd think that the civil rights movement for Black American civil rights would have torn down all the Confederate monuments and got rid of all the flags, but they didn't. That came up much later, like just in the last, you know, in our recent history. You want to talk about that tonight?
Yeah, we'll talk about that more tonight. I got quite a bit to say on it.
Okay. Well, good. But anyway, we got an election special here. So again, this is the Greg and Donny News Show. You can get us live on Facebook like we're doing now. We've got our YouTube channel, the Greg and Donny News Show channel, and we have a ballot.
We do.
We have a sample ballot. I voted yesterday, and the day before, and the day before. No. Anyway, so we've got both Democrat and Republicans. So I'm going to hand this to you. So this is kind of our election special. If you've got questions for us, you know, you can make a comment. We do have the. We can't get our comments here. Donny's got his phone, but we're finding it more difficult to do that. A lot of times when we're doing that after the show. But yeah, I guess I don't hear.
So I voted about a week ago myself for Congress. I'm not sure if you guys know, I kind of keep it a secret, but I like Phil Air quite a bit.
You made that a secret at all. You talk about nothing else. Okay, so the two people, let's talk about the two people running for Congress. So you got Dr. Zimmerman, Jennifer Zimmerman. You should give her a background.
All right. Well, they're both great people. I consider them both good friends. Dr. Z, as she's known around here, sort of the Cliff Notes version of her background is she's an immigrant from the Philippines. Was there for quite a bit throughout their modern history.
Yeah.
And then came over to America after essentially taking part in the movement to topple a tyrant there. And I think it was him.
Okay.
And set up her pediatric practice that has been serving for 20 years. Great doctor, but in my opinion, not as good of a candidate as my good friend Phil Air.
What's the difference? Well, hey, let's talk. I'm going to do a little camera adjustment here. I'm going to try not to do these, but I figure at this point it's necessary, so I'm going to kind of let you, because these are, I did it again, I kicked the stand. There we go.
So what it really all came down to for me was the issues. I just think Phil was the more issue-oriented candidate. He's traveled around the district. He's gone and talked to people who are generally ignored by everyone. He has the backing of the unions. And he's a great man, in my opinion, and I think he'd make a significantly better congressman than the one we got right now. And he's more of a winning candidate in this area.
Yeah, I've listened to both of them. I like both of them. I disagree with both of them.
Right.
Phil seems to me the more slick of the two, and I'm trying not to make that in a derogatory sense, but when I see him, he's very polished. He's got his views down, which is normally a good thing. But in terms of
you guys making a movie?
We are. We have a gentleman who's walking up here. We have a live studio audience for. Do you have a question? This is the Greg and Donny News Show.
I do, but I don't.
Have you heard of us? Okay. Well, we're getting bigger. I'm Greg. He's Donny.
I'm from Chicago. I wouldn't.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Probably know.
So we discussed current events. Right now we're going to do we're doing an election issue.
Am I like?
You're not on camera.
Okay.
No, you're behind the cameras. Do you want to come on camera? You don't have to. Do you have a question? Anything in politics right now? This is you can be our man on the street interview. This is how we do things get really spontaneous on our show.
So I'm in a lot of trouble. Not legal.
Oh. Probably can't help you with that right now because we're right in the middle of the show, though. Yeah, so I understand. I'm sorry.
I'm trying to get some medication. I'm diabetic.
You know what?
And I don't know what to do. Like, it's going to kill me one day. I just don't want to be.
What I would do is start with the police right here because they're good. They know all the social services. They know all the things that can help you.
Yeah.
You know, that's the first place I would go to. Get yourself a phone, call any of the folks here. As soon as these businesses open up, say, look, I need to make a phone call to get some help. And I think, yeah, because the police are good about that. I mean, it's not a law enforcement thing. It's a question of who do you know in the city that can help. because they're 24 hours a day, and they'll get you to the ambulance, the medical, anything else that you might need. That's where I'd start, quite honestly.
Probably the best advice I've heard all day.
Okay, well...
I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, that's okay. No, believe me, I'm just glad to help, quite honestly.
Well,
I wish you well.
They're right over that way if you're not familiar with the location.
No, I've just called. I mean,
oh yeah, okay.
If we had a spare phone, we could. Do you want to hop on your cell phone right now? Do you have the local?
I've got a phone.
All right. You got a phone? Just the non-emergency number of the Milton Police. They'll be here in like 2 minutes, or they'll direct you to the station, and they'll have a list of services and places that can help you.
Goodwill.
Probably. I mean, there's charities around here. Yeah, I would do that.
Continue.
All right, thank you, sir. Good luck to you.
We like to help our community here.
We do. Well, actually, the gentleman walked up and had a question for us, and so we wanted to. And that's what happened. Literally, this is spontaneous. We're here at the Gazebo in Milton under this wonderful, which is supposed to be shade. It's actually, the sun is now rising to the point where we're going to get a little bit of shade here. But a gentleman walked up and needed some help, so that's what we do. All right. So back to our candidate. So Phil Ayer, like I say, he's got the suit, he's got the tie. He looks, he looks very congressional. That's good and bad. It's good because he looks professional. It's bad because he looks slick. That's my criticism of Phil. Dr. Z, Jennifer Zimmerman, I think has the same issue that some of the other folks have of having great generalities but not specifics.
Right.
If I asked her what, and I talked to her about Congress too. They say, what is your bill for this, or what do you want to do? Oh, I want to help the children. I want to do this. Okay, that's fine. That's the generality. But what is the specific? People forget that. I think it's because people who are, like the fans of all the candidates, they want the platitudes. Yeah, they agree with me. Therefore, they're good. They're a good person for Congress. But they're not looking at the actual job of what a congressperson does, and that's where I had the disagreement. Anything else on Phil and Jennifer?
Yeah. I mean, I get what you're saying about him being the more slick and polished of the two. That was actually originally a turnoff for me, because I originally sort of saw him as the more establishment guy.
Okay.
But it's nice. I consider them both good friends. They're both great people. I love them both.
So how do you vote between them?
It was one of the hardest political decisions I ever had to make.
Yeah, and you don't have to tell people how you voted, but but I just. Or did you already?
I already did.
Okay, so
but
you have to tell how you voted.
Yeah.
Okay.
I eventually went and settled on Phil because for everything that she's out there saying, and she's making a lot of great points, but for everything she's saying, he has a good plan, just carefully written out, that's cost effective, that's...
So that's the difference.
Yeah.
That's of having a plan, and you look at Matt Gaetz' websites, or any of his newsletters, or any of the bills that he is in favor of. He deals in specific legislation, and people forget that that's what a congressperson does.
Exactly.
It's really all about specific legislation. So we have a couple of folks who put up signs earlier. I think we can get. You guys want to come on now? Okay. No problem. It's your chance for fame. We won't announce who it is just yet. A couple of our finest town people are walking by us right now at this time, deciding not to hop on camera, which is okay, I understand. Anyway, but like I said, it gets spontaneous. But that's the issue for me a lot of times, is who's got the plan? Who knows the job? They say we don't want any more lawyers in Congress, but if you're dealing with legislation is law. Yeah. You got to have a certain amount of lawyers who understand law. Now, does he have a law degree at all, or no?
No. Where Phil comes from is he was a higher up in the Navy for years.
Okay.
And it's
like he JAG at all, or anything like that?
I'm not entirely sure what he did. He did a lot of classified stuff. This guy went up against the commies during the Cold War. That's another thing I really like about him.
Okay, now you talked about Democrat warriors last time. This is really interesting. So you have a Democrat who is anti-communist. All right, so he's more the traditional Democrat.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, this is interesting. We're going to get more into this. If we have a Gaetz-Ayer competition, which I think is the way it's going to go.
I do too.
This is going to be we have to get both of them on.
Oh, we do.
But actually, this is going to be a good debate of the two candidates and their different points of view. It's interesting. You have a Democrat veteran.
Right.
Okay. Well, what's his stand against or stand on Afghanistan and Iraq?
I don't think I've ever heard a straight answer on him, but I'm pretty sure.
We'll have to get one.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he agrees with us that they've both become more or less disastrous.
Okay. If he were in Congress when the initial vote to spend the money to authorize the troops to go for, say, Desert Storm, Desert Shield, the whole Iraq thing, is that something that he would have approved of or disapproved of?
That's a good question.
Well, I'm going to want to know before the general election.
Right.
So if he makes it, those are some of the questions. Because, you know, as a veteran, I think especially, and a lot of, we talked about this with George McGovern, remember a few weeks ago?
Yeah.
There's a lot of veterans who are extremely anti-war because they've been there.
Yes.
You know, depending on what they've seen and the experience they've had, it wasn't all the, you know, what they thought before going in. I don't think war ever is. You know, and so, I mean, I don't know. I haven't been there. You know, I've had a lot of crazy experience. I was a flight instructor, trust me. I've been through emergencies. I know what it's like to be under stress. I don't know what it's like to be shot at. Okay, so so I'm trying to relate the times when I was under stress in emergencies in airplanes to combat. Obviously, they're different, but there's still levels of stress. So I can understand how the human body and mind reacts to stressful situations. And I think that was Phil a combat veteran? Do you know where he served?
I don't remember where, but I believe he was.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have all the specifics on his foreign policy, but he seemed, from what he said, it seems like he'd be more or less anti-war, but also completely willing to do whatever it takes to keep us and our allies safe. Well, so I think we could have a rational foreign policy out of him.
Okay.
Not necessarily a pro or anti-war foreign policy, just a rational foreign policy.
Do you think we have a rational foreign policy now?
Oh, no, not at all.
Okay. See, I do. All right. So I'd be curious where Phil would stand on, say, North Korea. Now, Trump told Mike Pompeo, Secretary of State, not to go to Korea because they're not making enough progress in denuclearization. Now, I happen to agree with that policy.
Right.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's not such a bad foreign policy.
I thought you just meant in general. No, Trump, I'll give Trump.
I'm playing with you.
Yeah, I'll give Trump. He's done some good things on foreign policy.
Yeah.
We can talk about that more tonight. There's some things I like, some I don't.
Okay, my turn.
Yeah, all right.
What do we got here? So we have here's the two sample ballots. Okay, we've got the Republican, we got the Democrat ballot. Okay. And so let me try the Republican Party. Of course, the two, the big ones are senators. The first one here, Rocky de la Fuente, who nobody's ever heard of. All right, and Rick Scott, who's the governor. I'm pretty sure Rick Scott's going to get it. Now, just because I was curious, I looked up Rocky de la Fuente, and he's the most Democrat-sounding Republican I've ever heard. So anybody who's looking at the ballot in Florida right now, the Republican ballot for Senate, Rocky de la Fuente. Take a look at his stance. He fit well the Phil Air campaign. Do you know anything about this guy?
I haven't read much into him. Like you said, no one's really heard of him.
All right, let's get to the fun one, shall we?
All right.
The congressional ballot, District 1, Chris Joseph, Matt Gaetz, and John Mills. We talked about it on the previous show with Justin Joust, who was here. And you can pick up that broadcast live on our Greg and Donny News Show page, and you can also get the YouTube when it comes out a little bit later this afternoon. But what did you think of Justin and his comments on Chris, Matt, and John?
I mean, it's like I was saying. I think that's the first time I've really heard straight answers out of the Mills campaign.
Okay. Because you haven't been able to contact him.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've reached out to him a few times, never heard back from him. Like I said, never seen him in any forums or anything.
Okay.
I think if this guy wants to get serious, he needs to have Justin on the campaign trail for him.
That would be interesting. That would be very interesting. So we do have a spectator in the audience here. If you want to join in, sir.
Go to Greg and Donny shows. Watching. Catch y'all on the flip side.
Thank you very much. You take care. All right. So we've got. So I'm going to go right through this and just tell you what I think. Chris Joseph. I actually, when he started, you know, I liked him as a person. I admire his service. I respect his service. I don't like what he's doing now. I don't like his negativity. I don't like what he's doing to Justin. I don't like how he refuses to answer any of my questions on Facebook on specific programs that he would want to authorize. I don't think he's ready for the job. He's not. I mean, he'd be better off serving at the state legislative level, get some legislative experience, or a county commissioner, or a city council, or something. But you don't, you know, it's, I mean, how many times would somebody go from no political experience to the president? I think Donald Trump's the first time in our history that's ever been done. That's a unique case, but he's got all this executive experience running the company, all right? So Chris has business experience, he's got a family, he's been a veteran, you know, his service to the country is wonderful. I'm not questioning that. But that's not what the job of Congress is. The job of Congress is to pass bills, and so he's not ready for that until he gets some legislative experience. And also, if you ever watch Matt Gaetz do the investigations of the FBI corruption folks, the Peter Strzok's, the Ross Rosensteins, all these people that are before him,
Good patriots.
horrible, disgusting people who never should have, gotten past the Obama administration. We'll talk about that later too. But it's interesting. But you have to agree though that Matt Gaetz does some pretty serious interrogations.
Oh yeah.
Okay. I mean, I put the videos on my Action Radio page with Greg Penglisson also.
I love watching them.
They're very good. And so I don't think Chris is up for that.
Right.
I've never seen him do an investigation, and so I don't think John Mills. I talked to John once. Honest to gosh, I can't see him doing anything in office. I really can't. He doesn't have the experience. He doesn't have the verbal articulation of the issues. He doesn't have a program. He doesn't have any specific bills. He's not ready for the job.
Right. I mean, we talked about this a bit last time.
Okay.
I really don't even think he's a serious candidate. I think he's just trying to move the party more along, more to where he thinks, more to the Liberty Caucus.
But he's not effective at doing that.
Oh, no.
Because he has no voice.
Yeah.
Nobody's listening to him. If I went to 10 people on the street and said, what do you think of the John Mills candidacy for Congress? They'd be like, huh? So that's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
That is a definite problem. So, but as a Democrat looking at the Republican election, what do you think?
I think Gaetz is going to be the nominee,
okay.
But I also know quite a few people who previously supported Gaetz who are leaning towards Joseph now.
What's the reason?
Because they don't think that Gaetz has done enough to campaign here, of all things.
Yeah, but I mean, he's campaigning all the time. Every time he does a town hall, every time. And I don't think Chris has ever, or John has ever hosted a meeting where they took a whole bunch of questions from the audience. I mean, we went to one at a synagogue, but
yeah.
that was more of a presentation. I've seen him give presentations, but I've never seen him open himself up to questions. And Gaetz opens himself up to questions all the time.
Right.
From people he disagrees with. In fact, he's made a commitment to come on our show at some point, and so we're going to
do it.
So we're of course going to hold him to it. So we're going to have Congressman Gaetz and Phil Ayre as well. We're going to have them both here, probably not together, which I don't like to do anyway. But they've actually agreed to come on and take our questions for an extended period of time. That's pretty gutsy because they're going to get it from both ends,
right?
And I don't see John or Chris. They've never taken up our offers. Yours for John. I never talked to him, but Chris, is welcome to come on the show now.
Yeah.
If you're in the area, Chris, come on down. Right here at the Gazebo in Milton. And so that's it. Okay, you want to try one?
Yeah. All right. So for governor, I went ahead and voted for Andrew Gillum.
Why?
Well, first of all, he's a Bernie Sanders type progressive.
Okay.
I love it. And also, in addition to the fact that he would be our first African American nominee, and if he got
there you go with the identity politics. You were doing really well. I was going to keep it. I wasn't going to mention race at all.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I'm thinking, no, we can't. We can't get through a discussion without the race thing.
Well, because the thing is, I think that could rile up quite a bit of base and votes for him.
Okay.
So, because people could just get excited about the idea of making history, and
see, I wish that would make history. I mean,
right.
Ever since civil rights made history, and I'm glad that happened. But I'm really getting tired of people being judged on their skin color.
Right. And skin color aside, he's the
guy. Not aside. No, it's a major. You made an issue of it.
You're right.
And it's a problem because we need to get beyond this. At some point, we're going to have to just congratulate people for what they're doing, and not say, oh, he would make a great governor. By the way, he's also African American.
And he's done a lot of good.
Now that's more important.
Yeah, he's the governor.
That's what I want to focus on.
Yes. Not governor, mayor of Tallahassee.
Okay.
And
what's he done there?
I think, really, of all the cities in the state, Tallahassee is one of the best ones right now. He's got their economy going good. Okay. People are working.
How much control does the state of Florida, being the capital there, have over the city of Tallahassee?
I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
I've never really looked into it.
Because Congress regulates Washington D.C. I'm trying to think how much the state capitals regulate. California, Sacramento.
Yeah.
The government of California is such a business for California that it makes a huge difference having the government there. I was just curious.
Could be wrong, but I don't think they have much control.
Okay.
So it's
more of an independent city kind of thing?
Yeah.
All right.
He kind of came in when I don't believe they were doing their best, and he's done a lot of good.
More jobs?
Okay. I'd like to see him do the same for Florida. Gwen Graham is favored as the nominee, and I like Gwen Graham a lot. She's another kind of moderate, middle ground type.
So she's running against Gill for the governor, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, my concern with her is, simply speaking, I think she'd be, although I don't think she's one of these people, she'd be very easy for the other side to equate her to Hillary and Pelosi and all those types.
Oh, that's interesting. Why is that?
Just because...
Is she corrupt?
No, not at all.
Criminal?
No.
Did she leave people in Benghazi?
No.
Okay. Did she have a stand-down order?
No.
Did she take billions from Russia to hand over our uranium?
Not that I know of.
Okay, so she's not Hillary then.
Right.
Okay, fine.
But in the essence that she is indeed an establishment candidate. I mean, she's the daughter of Bob Graham, someone I consider a personal hero of mine. Great man. Yeah.
He's a great guy.
I'd love to meet him.
Yeah.
I'd love to have him on the show.
He was at a Civicon presentation. I went to go talking about Action Radio. He was kind of intrigued with the process.
But so she in a way has always been in Florida politics her entire life. She was in Congress for a bit, and she was interesting because she was so moderate. She actually voted against Obama. I believe it was 54% of the time. Really? And now she's running as a progressive. So that's something a lot of people are going to have an issue with. I just think, in general, Andrew Gillum is our best choice. He has the best record. He's probably the most honest.
Okay. Let me take a look. Yeah. Is there anybody else who's running for governor?
Oh, yeah, there's quite a few.
Well, who are the people we don't know about? Don Baldoff. Oh, that's mine. That's Republican. I'm sorry. I don't know who he is. Jeff Green?
Jeff Green. He's very rich, kind of the Democratic Donald Trump, very arrogant guy. I like him, but a lot of people don't. I don't think he has a shot, and a lot of people think he's corrupt. He's kind of bought a lot of advertisement for himself.
Sounds like what Republicans think of Andrew Putnam.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Easter Putnam.
Easter Putnam, okay. Chris King?
He's another billionaire, and I like him quite a bit. Him and Andrew are actually very similar, and it was very hard for me to pick one. The only reason I ended up going for Andrew is simply because he has legislative experience and he can draw crowds better.
Okay. Here's what's interesting. Philip Levine, isn't he the former mayor of Miami?
Yes.
So the only thing I know about him was that when I had the Airbnb folks on, he's very much for the hotels against the Airbnb people. And that caused me a little issue because I think, why? That's a restraint of trade. You know, he's taking the money from the hotels to sort of have all these regulations against the Airbnb. I think it ended up in court. Yeah, that's all I know about him.
He himself owns quite a few hotels.
Okay, now we understand.
We have 3 billionaires.
Wow.
We have, of course, Green, Levine, and King.
Do they want to tax the rich more?
Yeah.
They do?
Yeah.
Okay, so they believe in more taxes for themselves. Okay. Just as long as they're consistent, I don't have a problem with it. All right. Just curious. All right, who else we got here? Lundmark. Alex Lundy Lumber. I don't even know who that is.
There's always one on there.
Okay.
Or 2. I don't know who either of those last people.
John Weatherby?
Yeah. Never really heard of him.
Are they related to their rifles? Well, they don't think they're spelled the same way. You know Weatherby rifles? Overpowered. Take your shoulder off. They're good. You don't know much about rifles. We got to get in the shooting range.
We do.
We do have to get in the shooting range. In fact, that's the best thing you can do for this election. Take your favorite Democrat to the shooting range.
Yes.
Okay. Especially if they're a woman. We want more women shooters because women, when they find out how much fun it is, and say, oh, by the way, you and all your friends want to take this away. You know, it's a great election thing. It's true. I've taught a few women how to shoot. All right, let me get to let's do my governor folks here. So I have supported and voted for Ron DeSantis. I met him a couple times now. I've got contacts with his office. I am very much impressed with what he's doing to go after the corruption in the FBI. And my choice was between him and Adam Putnam. And I've interviewed Adam Putnam. I don't have a problem with Adam Putnam. He seems like he's been a pretty decent commissioner. I went through the concealed carry process when Adam Putnam was commissioner. It was easy. It was straightforward. The people were wonderful. So I don't have a problem. What I hear about him is that he's corrupt. He's been a politician forever and all that. So I don't know about that personally, but you have some knowledge of that.
I mean, the guy is poisoning Lake Okeechobee.
Let's talk about that. What's going on? Yeah, what's going on with Lake Okeechobee?
I know you're big on deregulation, but that's
I'm big on getting rid of stupid regulations.
I got you. I'm the same way.
Okay, but there's certain regulations that you need.
Deregulated a little too much, and the sugar industry in Florida is just absolutely destroying Lake Okeechobee. And some of their best customers are Rick Scott, Adam Putnam, and Pam Bondi. So if Putnam's your nominee, the Democrats have the easiest shot at the governor's mansion.
Because of big sugar? That's what I call that, big sugar.
Yes.
Okay. So now how big is the sugar industry in California? Huge?
I'm not sure how big California is.
What kind of, is it sugar cane, sugar beet? What are they doing? And why are they poisoning? What do they have around Lake Okeechobee that's causing it to be poisoned?
Dumping toxins in there.
But sugar, what does sugar produce that's toxic?
See, I thought the same thing. Like, you'd think sugar seems...
Let's ask you folks, what does sugar produce You know, I mean, if you're making petrochemicals, I know what you're doing, okay? If you're making pesticides, I know what the hazardous products are. If you're in agriculture, farming, I know what the runoff is, okay? It's called E. coli. All right, so we know what does sugar produce?
Like, it seems like the most innocent thing, but people on both sides, remember that first rally you and I both went to with Hannity? People were in the crowd yelling, they're poisoning Lake Okeechobee. Not exactly Bernie Sanders, that audience.
No. Well, and here's the thing too. A lot of people think the Republicans want us all to die of dirty air and dirty water. That's not true. But the big difference is, and I've said this before, environmentalists did an excellent job. You know, you've won. Okay, the environment's in pretty good shape. There's still things to do, but don't go looking for problems to try and solve. There's plenty here enough already. The things that are working, leave them alone. Okay, if you got a clean coal plant that's producing, clean coal way below the pollution levels before, don't get rid of the coal industry. If you're getting 99% clean, that extra 1% is going to cost you billions upon billions. It's probably not worth it. The Earth can handle the 1%. Okay, so when it comes to Lake Okeechobee, sugar produces sugar. Now, does sugar provide a nutrient to the water that allows algae to bloom?
That might be.
Because there's an algae problem off the coast. All right. Now, places get algae blooms every so often. We had them with the red tides, green tides, things like that. In California, we get an algae bloom every year. Okay. In fact, it determines the opening of crab season. Okay. So I understand these things, but that's natural. That happens all the time. But just because it's natural doesn't mean you don't want to add to the problem.
Right.
Okay. So there we go. We got young folks walking by here too.
Hey.
This would be interesting. Hey, kids. They're probably so we should get the kid on the street view. We've never done that before. Yeah. Anyway, but that's the question: is how do we regulate sugar in a way that allows them to produce, okay, but doesn't allow them to pollute? And so we want to find that balance in there. I think that's what most Republicans want.
I think that's going to be a big issue come the general.
Okay. We need to learn more about it.
Yeah.
So I put that little note to myself: sugar. We need to find out how it's produced, how much it is.
I found out.
Yeah, but I bet you, I think, if anything, it ties in, well, the chemicals that produce sugar, there's got to be something in there we don't know about yet.
Right.
And it's interesting, I found out, like paper towels and Kleenex and things like that. You think, well, what could be causing pollution in that? The bleaching chemicals. Huge. Or when they color those things to different colors.
Yeah.
There was a lake up in Oregon that used to change color depending on what dye, the Kleenex company was using to color their Kleenexes. We got a comment there?
Yep. We got someone saying that Putnam is funded by Big Sugar, DeSantis 2018.
Okay, there we go. So we're going to DeSantis supporter. Yeah. Now, the criticism of DeSantis is that he spent all his time in Washington. Well, he's a congressman. Of course he has. All right. So that would make sense to me. But you also have to represent your district. So look at how he represented his district, and I'm not exactly sure. I don't know how he's done that, but just for personal integrity, from what I've seen of him on the news shows, I want to get your opinion on that, because they're criticizing Gates for being on the news too much, but what he's saying is really important. And so I criticize the people that aren't on the news, that aren't making the news, that aren't making the points. It's like they're not as involved. They're just doing the fundraising. They've got the trappings of office. They're people that are there for the decoration and the title. They're not actually legislating. Not every congressperson, files legislation. Gates files a ton of it. What he hasn't done, and I will criticize him for this, is he hasn't filed any action radio bills. Now, he's looked at them, he's working with them, he's taken them for different things, but we've never been able to get an actual citizen legislated bill into Congress as it is. I don't care if they amend it or what they do with it, but we're still working on that. So, Congressman?
Maybe you can do one before Phil takes over.
Phil's not going to take over. No, this is not the district I want to run as a Democrat.
Right.
All right, your turn.
Okay. Ooh, Attorney General.
Oh,
now,
let's chat.
This is one that made me angry just last night. This guy, our two options for the Democrats are Sean Shaw and Ryan Torrens. In my opinion, they're both good men. Whoever the nominee is, I'll vote for. But Ryan is actually a really good friend of mine. Okay. I've been trying to help out his campaign. And I just think of everyone on either side, he's the guy who would stand up for the little guy.
What's the job of Attorney General in Florida? What specifically does it do?
Enforce the law.
Okay. Which makes sense.
Yeah.
See, in California, the Attorney General, Kamala Harris, basically takes away your Second Amendment rights. That's what she thinks her job is, okay? That's why I don't want her running. Now she's in the Senate, fortunately. At least she's out of California, fortunately for California, because she was a terrible Attorney General. She was completely corrupt. I hope she runs for president. Please, Kamala, run. You got your record in California. We know what you did, okay?
So anyway, between the two of them, and they both have very similar platforms, but my good friend Ryan didn't really take, he took absolutely no corporate money, didn't mess with super PACs, anything like that. He was just a straightforward, by the people kind of candidate. And Sean Shaw, and Ryan made a mistake here, I'll give him that, but to fund his campaign, him and his wife, who is someone else I absolutely love, have a joint account, and I guess he wrote himself a check under her name.
Ooh.
Yeah, probably shouldn't have done that, but...
Well, it's a joint account, though. He's allowed to.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
But there's legality and there's appearance.
They got him on the biggest technicality. Sean Shaw kind of went to a judge, threw the biggest tantrum, and just yesterday, a few days before the election, they threw Ryan off the ballot. So my vote was completely invalidated.
He's off the ballot?
Yeah. Ooh.
So now you don't have a choice.
So I mean, he's filing appeals. He's trying to get back in. I hope he does. I think he's our best chance at winning. But that was just a Nixonian level dirty trick, and I was ashamed to see it from my own.
So Sean Shaw filed a complaint that he'd done this right before the election. How early in the process do you think he knew that this had taken place?
Well, they've been in the courts about this for a little while.
Okay.
And it's like I said, I like Sean Shaw. I'll vote for him if he's our nominee.
Yeah.
I'll even join his team if they'll have me. But if you can't handle Ryan, this lovable teddy bear, you're from your own party. If you can't handle the primary process, how are you supposed to handle the Republicans? And how are you supposed to handle everything else that comes with that job? So, Sean, you disappointed me. If you're somehow watching this, I'd like to see some improvements out of you here.
All right, let me go back and forth. Do we have any comments that we're still working? We're trying to do. We don't have a desk this morning, so it's a little bit different now than we're used to.
Done.
Okay. All right, so again, this is the Greg and Donny News Show, and this is the point where when we get sponsors, if you want to sponsor the Greg and Donny News Show, we are going to be taking sponsors. We'll make spots for you here, and we'll take little breaks and announce your company or project or whatever your group or whatever it is. So get in touch with us, send us a message on our Facebook page, the Greg and Donny News Show page. We also have, for your viewing pleasure, our Greg and Donny News Show YouTube page, which we need subscribers for.
Yeah, we do. So
then we can live stream directly to YouTube, and we can bypass the Facebook, and so you don't have to sort of switch back and forth. All right. Attorney General, I wasn't sure about these two people. Frank White, I think, is the better known. Ashley Moody, I kind of like Ashley Moody. I read her website and took a look at the issues. And Frank White had something about his sponsorship by this big car dealership. It's the money thing again. And so I looked at that and I thought, I got two people, they're saying the right things, but if I got my choice, I want the one who doesn't have the whole fundraising backing by one particular party. You've got a bunch of different backing from the people. That's why I remember Jerry Brown has $10 donations or whatever it was. You know, he got a lot of money, you know, from a whole bunch of people. But whenever one group starts backing, and I was sort of reading about it, I thought, you know, and then like I say, it's probably not as informed as it should have been. So my recommendation would be Ashley Moody in that particular case. All right, moving on.
All right. So, Commissioner of Agriculture, I really don't have much to say on this one, but the two options, in my opinion, they're both pretty good. Nikki Fried, Roy David Walker. Roy David Walker's the more progressive one. He's a scientist. And I don't remember exactly what she did, but in my opinion, either one of them would be good. Like, I actually don't even want to say which one I voted for here, because I like both of them so much. I think they're both great people, they both run good campaigns, I'm proud of both of them. So, I highly recommend voting for the nominee.
Okay. Yeah, we don't know who it is yet, so whichever one you think, yeah. Now, agriculture is an interesting job here, because it has I think it's the DMV, the drivers, are under agriculture, which I find interesting. That's unusual for Florida. And the concealed carry is under agriculture. You know, and so the Agriculture Commissioner actually has a whole lot to do. Pretty important position. And of course, Florida agriculture is critical to this state. In fact, I think they've lost a lot of agriculture as Florida has grown. And this is a problem that was in Massachusetts and other places I've lived. You lose farmland to commercial development. And so, do any of the candidates on either side have any interest in what's called perpetual zoning? You know what that is?
I'm not too familiar with it.
So that's where land is permanently farmland. So you can sell it, you can transfer it, you can divide up, you can do whatever you want, but it stays farmland. Now some might say, oh, that's a restraint of trade. You know, you can't do that. It's, you know, it's government interference. And I'll tell you what, this government interference I think is a good thing, because if we lose our farmland, we lose our food. Okay, and so you know, and I think there's certain areas, you know, that it wouldn't be a bad thing to designate them as perpetual zoning. That it's because we zone for all kinds of things. But I don't know if anybody's doing that here.
I'll have to get him on record. One more thing on that is that Nikki Fried, she was Wells Fargo recently. This has been a big stink in the Democratic Party. Came in and shut down her account. I don't think they told her because she was on record supporting legalizing medical marijuana.
So who shut down her account?
Wells Fargo.
Shut down what account?
Her bank account.
What?
Yeah.
Because she's for medical marijuana?
Yes.
How can you do that?
I don't know.
How can it?
Is there a dirtier...
Question for you folks, okay?
Yeah.
So, and like I said, we're not, sometimes we're not always able to take the comments right away, but we do go back after the show and take a look at them. Is it any bank's business whether you smoke marijuana or not? You know, so it's not. That's crazy. You know, we're going to hash out that issue too, if you don't mind the fun. I just thought of that as I said it. But medical marijuana versus recreational marijuana. You know, I think Gates is dead set against recreational, but he's for medical. Okay. I really don't care. This is where I take more the libertarian, but the reasonable position is, yes, I don't mind recreational marijuana. I don't care, but no, don't smoke it in front of your kids and don't go driving on it. Okay, you know, be smart about it, like alcohol. You know, I think basically the same law should apply there. Okay. Do you have any more on agriculture?
No, that's all I got.
Okay. I've got 4 people I'm really not that familiar with because, like I said, I'm learning the new people here. Now, what's interesting, Matt Caldwell, I think, is probably the favorite. He's the favorite of the Liberty Caucus. And he's the only one, and this is really interesting, he's the one where when I started looking up all the different candidates for all these different offices as I'm voting, it took like me about 3 days to finally get all the information. He's the one that keeps popping up in my advertising. Okay? So Matt Caldwell, I don't know how much you paid for that, all right? But you know when you look up like sneakers or shirts or something you want to buy, you know, and then like the next day it's in your advertising. You know, because they market it. Matt Caldwell was in my advertising, so I don't know how that happened. But I actually ended up supporting Baxter Troutman. He's a rancher. He's got a cowboy hat. He's a regular guy. You know, so right or wrong, you know, these two in the middle, Dennis Grimsley and Mike McAllister. They didn't have a website. They had a Facebook page. There wasn't a lot of detail about them, and that's my first warning. If you don't care enough about the office to really say why you want it, I don't want to vote for you. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So my choice between Matt and Baxter, and I like Baxter because he's been a rancher and a farmer all his life, and he's a strong Second Amendment supporter, which you need for the CCW. So that's why I went with Baxter. These other offices, I'm really not sure about, county commissioners. These aren't. Oh, we should talk about this one.
Yeah.
We'll do that next.
All right.
You know what's coming, right? You will in a minute. All right. Anyway, we'll get next.
All right, so yeah, county commissioner. This is one of the only Republicans I voted for. I went ahead and placed a vote for Dave Peach.
Now, how can you vote if you vote on the Democrat?
This is one of the non-partisan.
Oh, it's nonpartisan. Okay.
Like school board, a couple others.
So there's a big controversy right now. Dave Peach and Rob Williamson. What are you hearing about that from the Democrat side?
A lot of Democrats are either staying out of it or going for Dave Peach. Because even if he isn't really on our side, he seems to want to come in, kind of combat the good old boy system, make some changes. So I can respect that.
Yeah.
I'd like to have him on the show.
We tried.
Yeah.
I made a mistake, and I want to apologize to Dave Peach and all his folks. I got an email I got a Facebook message like maybe 2 weeks ago now, and I know it's right before the election. I'm sorry. But what happened is it's in that, you know, I'm not your friend yet message section that I never think to check because it doesn't appear as some like big red mark on my Facebook page. So my apologies. I did call Dave, I think 2 days ago, and invite him onto the show, and so we'll see. Now, once the winner of this is going to be it.
Yes.
Okay, so there's no election beyond this. Doesn't mean we can't talk to you, Dave, you know, if you win.
Oh, yeah.
Or Rob. Now Rob is interesting.
He's in a lot of trouble, isn't he?
Rob I have interviewed. Okay, and I'm talking to someone this morning about that. He strikes me as like the Hollywood candidate. You know, the movie star. He should be hopping out of a Jaguar and going to his events and things like that. But from what I've heard, and I can't prove it, I don't have the sources, but he's taking a lot of money from a lot of places, and it's not the best places to be taking money from.
That's what I've heard.
Okay, so those